What's up, guys? We are back with another Four Horsemen review, and it is time for a brand new wave, and it's a cosmic wave this time, and it's been a little bit since we've done a cosmic wave, and it is finally time to talk about OxKrewe Book 1 Thraxxon. So this wave was revealed in, August of 2023 at PowerCon. That was the last PowerCon. I was in the room for that reveal, so this one's kind of a fun wave for me just because I was there when it was all shown for the first time. And I wanted to start with ORVAR because I wanted to start with one of the new suits of armor, one of the new power suits, but I also am really curious about this cabbage-headed alien dude and his big veiny head, which that's probably weird. So we're going to take a look at ORVAR today, and of course he is a standard figure in the wave. He comes in the standard style cosmic packaging, which of course is very different from Legion stuff on the mythic side. Now he's in the window, you've got a render on the bottom there, you've got a bio and sort of a file card on one spine. The other spine gives you a write-up for Thraxxon, and then the back of the box gives us an ever-increasing cross-sell with just an insane number of figures. I really don't know how long that's going to last, but I do love seeing it. So yeah, let's do it. Let's pull them out and take a look. And here we go, out of the package, our Cosmic Legion's OxKrewe ORVAR figure. So this is one of the three main, characters in this wave, and one of the examples of this new set of armor, this new body style, this bulkier power armor style cosmic parts library in many ways, because the parts library for cosmic really explodes with this particular wave. ORVAR is one of three that have these armors. He is a smaller figure, but he's still pretty big, and he's just as bulky. There is some new articulation, new stuff that moves anyway. He is not exactly the same, as best I can tell, as the other two, but he's fairly similar. So to start with, we do have this giant head, and he's got... You got to watch when you're moving this around. These little hoses, they actually slot into the armor. You might have to move them around. They might pop around. So watch out. You've got up and down. You've got side to side, of course. Nice little bobble. Despite being in this thing, he's got good bobble there. You do have rotation. The neck, of course, is going to rotate. It's a pretty interesting joint. I thought this was just going to be like a giant ball peg or something, but it's actually a big bulbousy neck that has a barbell joint coming out of it. So there's a fairly standard, what seems like 1.0 ball peg up in here. It seems pretty tight on some of the heads I've tried, so it may not be exact, but you could feasibly have this really weird looking giant green neck with a regular head coming out of it, if you want to get weird, I guess. Arms feature some new stuff, so we've got this flip-up armor here on the inner ring of the shoulder. It's like, how everything cinches together, it locks him in the suit. And this piece also swivels, which is really neat because, of course, it does allow the arm to swing forward without anything getting in the way, and the armor follows the arm rather than being in this sort of weird sort of configuration like you have to do when it comes to mythic stuff sometimes, just to sort of get things out of the way. So that's pretty nice. I really like that. Arms, of course, go out. They go out about that far. They are going to swivel. And again, like I mentioned, this is an independent thing from the arm. It actually is a ring around the joint that encapsulates it rather than being part of it. We've got single jointed elbows, and they go basically 90 degrees. Despite being really big, they go basically 90 degrees. Of course, you've got swivel up here at the elbow. You've also got gauntlet swivel. These are really, really big. This whole piece is the gauntlet, basically. We've got vertical hinge, wrist, and swivel here. It's a peg, of course, so you've got swivel within there. There is another set of hands that is a lateral movement, but these trigger finger hands are vertical. At the torso, he goes forward and backward fairly decent. I wasn't expecting a lot with this because of the style of this armor. I really didn't think they were going to be super dynamic. But they do actually have a decent bit more movement here than I expected. There is a swivel there. It's a standard ball peg. This piece here, he does have the overall armor here, and then on the inside is a sort of a suit that he's got on. This piece is actually a separate piece. It's like a plastic chunk that goes up inside into the torso there, and it's where the ball peg goes into. So he's got a multi-part torso system, but it doesn't really add anything in terms of articulation, I don't think. Legs go out about yay far. They really don't do that great. Definitely not as good as some figures in the past. He's got a belt that gets in the way, and you've got all these doodads up here, and then the armor itself actually does clip into the crotch piece, so it's not going to go any further anyway. Legs can kick all the way out as long as you rotate them a slight bit. They, of course, are going to go back. You do have your standard thigh twist there. We've got single jointed knees as usual. That's about as good as you're going to get. Big, chunky things with, like, you know, thrusters and stuff coming out the back. Not surprising me at all. We got a little shimmy at the knee. You know, it does obviously move, but it's only going to move as much as this piece here allows. And then we've got really, really good ankle hinge. You've, of course, still got the swivel at the top of the ankle that's going up into there. And then pretty good hinge, really good hinge. And you got really, really great rocker on these guys, despite being so big. Like, there's a lot of movement there. One thing I was going to point out is the other figures, you know, like the pilot, the blue guy, whose name is escaping me right this second, Velok, there it is. He has toe articulation. Orvar does not seem to have toe articulation. The feet are eerily similar, but they're not exactly the same sculpt. And I did try, and it didn't move. I don't remember if that was confirmed or not. I honestly forgot that Velok had it until I messed around with him, and then I thought he would too, because it looks like he does, but at the same time, on the bottom, there does not seem to be anything there, and despite all of the heat and my efforts, he did not want his toes to budge. So if it works, maybe mine are just super stuck, but I don't think this guy has it. Overall, though, without spending too much more time, he moves pretty well. There are some limitations at the elbows and the knees. Knees are probably the one area that I would say are truly limited, just by virtue of how little range there is. But everything else here moves pretty well, and I really, really like this sort of pauldron shoulder thing system to just get it out of the way without having to sort of muck around with it. Now, as far as the overall look and feel on this guy, there's obviously a lot to take in with this figure, and I mean, literally the whole wave, because like I said, you know, the parts library in Cosmic kind of explodes with this particular wave where so much new is being put into the line. And this guy, I mean, I really like him. There's a reason why I went after him first. I thought he looked cool. I like his armor. It's orange-ish. He's got this crazy green with yellow vein head. He's, you know, squatty but really bulky. He's supposed to be this kind of angry, curmudgeonly demolitionist guy. Yeah, that sounds like a cool figure. And I'm really happy with the way this guy turned out. There are a few things that I'm not that jazzed about when it comes to the figure. It's more like housekeeping kind of things and like quality of life, I guess. I don't know a better way to say it. And maybe I'll start with those. So, you know, one of the things is like this piece on the chest and these tubes here. Like I said, when I was moving them around, sometimes these have been popping out on me quite a bit. It's not a thing. It's not really an issue by any means. They just slot into the insides here. You know, if you're not moving them around, they're probably never going to move, but it's one of those things. He's got all of this stuff, all these doodads all over his belt. He's got like grenades, and he's got mines, I guess, and stuff like that. These are all actually things you put on him, which means there are things that can fall off, and I've put him down a few times already and picked him back up only to find that one of them was missing. So that's a thing that just more kind of worries me than anything else. I'm not too sure about that kind of stuff. I just expect one day I'm going to look down and all of them are going to be gone. And then I won't know what to do. He does look fine without them, don't get me wrong. And then the last thing is this, and I don't know if this is a problem or not. This is where the Cosmic backpack for him, and I believe both of the other two Power Suit figures have it as well, where the backpack goes in. When I took it out for the first time, this adapter came with it, and it happened on Velok as well. That's the only other one I've opened as of filming this. When the backpack gets put in there, it feels like it wants to fall out. So I'm not sure if this is supposed to be glued in or if the glue is not, you know, adequate or something. Because it worked fine. It held the backpack perfectly until I went to take it out. And that's when it came right out. The backpack fits into this slot really tightly, but this does not seem to be super tight into the back. So, you know, keep an eye out on that. Maybe it's not a widespread thing. Maybe it's something I'm experiencing. Maybe I was a little too hard on it. I don't really think I was. But it's something to keep an eye out for. Now, beyond the kind of, you know, annoyance kind of stuff, I think this guy looks freaking awesome. I'm really happy with him. So he's obviously got, you know, this kind of dark suit of armor. It's brown and orange, so it's like a dingy brown and a dingy orange. You've got yellow accents. You've got all this metallic and black and gray. A very, very Warhammer 40K, Space Marine kind of a vibe in many ways. StarCraft armor, that kind of stuff. It's obviously going to remind folks of that, and it reminds me of that as well in a good way. Like this is great. He's got a nice chunky squatty form factor. There's all sorts of weathering and just junk all over him. He's got the Axor 3. That's the logo for like the overall group that they're a part of, right? And then they've got the OxKrewe faction symbol on the other arm here, which is pretty cool underneath that sort of pseudo pauldron. He's got these little crystalline doodads that sit out of his chest, and these things come out, and I'm sure these are meant to come out because Velok and Ularia, the female, they have different ones, so you could swap them. But I think Orvar has the coolest ones with this little translucent sort of, I don't know, buttons on his chest or whatever, but he looks really cool with them. And they add just a slight pop of color in what is overwhelmingly a lot of dull tones for this particular figure. But then, of course, we do have this just monster head sculpt up here, and I really, really like it. And I'm going to pull this out real quick and show you what I was talking about with this head and the joint here. So it's a neck with a ball peg in it. So the neck is independent of the actual head, which is of course independent of this. And some of the other figures, they have inserts in here. Orvar's neck is so big, so he gets just a neck insert, which also makes him look a little squattier by comparison. But this head sculpt is easily one of my favorite cosmic head sculpts so far. Like, it has that sort of classic Martian, Mars Attacks kind of almost influence because of the big bulbousy green head. But he also reminds me of like a Cyberman from Dragon Ball Z. I'm sure there are folks out there that will get that reference. He's got this crazy streak of yellow veins. And I've said it a million times, I love characters, especially like humanoids, but not humans, that have pupilless eyes. It makes him look a little bit more mysterious, and when he's angry, it makes him look even angrier. So I really like the head sculpt. The color absolutely offsets from the armor really well. The size makes him out to be something very, very different compared to a lot of other figures, and in general, he just looks really great from top to bottom. I do, of course, have a few little nitpicky annoyance things, but overwhelmingly, I'm really liking the potential in this new set and suit of armor. Now for some quick size comparisons, I'm just going to do this, just to give you an idea of where he stands within Legions itself. So we've got, of course, Orvar in the middle. This is Sir Andrew from the All-Star 6 wave, a standard 1.0 Mythic Legions figure. And then this is Velok from, of course, the same wave of Cosmic, to give you an idea of how he stacks up with the other members of the crew. They're not that different overall, but the body structure and proportions are quite a bit different. They've got similar torsos, but Orvar's legs are a lot different. And then, of course, he has this giant head that makes him seem a lot taller than I guess he truly is, because he's got, like a 9 head or something up there. But overwhelmingly, they are quite different when you look at them side by side. But the height's not too far off. And then he's fairly close in height to a standard 1.0 Legions figure. The big thing is going to come down to just how chunky these new suit of armor, power armor kind of figures are. Now, as far as accessories goes, Orvar is pretty stacked. There's a decent amount of different stuff in this box, and a lot of it, if not almost all of it, is new stuff as well. So to start with, we do get an extra head sculpt. I really like this, not just because I already like, the look of his head sculpts, but the grimace is nice, having another expression is really nice. But this little detail here in particular really got me. So there's like these throat sacs that are obvious on the regular head sculpt now. They're not as big, but they're this little bump right here on the neckline. And his are like inflamed and they're puffed up. So like kind of, like if a toad or something was trying to ward off a predator or something, and they puff themselves up, that kind of idea, which is a small thing, but it's kind of a cool little, hidden little thing in there that you may or may not notice right away. He does have a couple extra hands, so you've got trigger finger hands on him in the box. These are vertical hinges. You've got lateral hinge standard gripping hands, and that's it. No fists or anything else with this figure. Not a ton of hands in this set to begin with. We do get the the dome as well, and there's some aspects of this I do want to talk about. So like I mentioned, this is, you know, one of my sort of frustration areas really is and there's the backpack. We'll definitely have to talk about that too. So this is the sort of, you know, tubing piece, and this is the same kind of idea that we have on the Tusk figures, because obviously this guy is very Tusk reminiscent. He is very similar. So you've got, you know, like the things like the turbine piece that the Red Jets have, or the piece that's a science officer, or the Sentry have on the Tusk figures. It's the same system there in terms of that little emblem that they share. This guy also has another piece that I'm not sure I understand what it is or what it's for. So you've got this little doodad right here on the collar line. It's black and silver. It kind of looks like something that might be useful for breathing, or, you know, some kind of apparatus like that. I don't know why it comes out, but it does have another one that is different. It's not the same. It's very similar, but it's not the same. I don't know if it's meant to be used with the dome piece or the enclosure, but it doesn't really seem to need it either. So I don't know what it is. I'm going to have to write into 4 Horsemen and ask them to tell me what this is, because I'm just not sure. It'll change them up ever so slightly, but beyond that, I can't tell if it's functional yet. So someone let me know if you've already figured it out. Now, for the dome, this is much improved from the Tusk figures. So you really just put it on. I'm done. Like, that's it. There's nothing else to do for this one. It does sit in a certain way like the Tusk domes do, but it doesn't seem to need as much, I don't know, muss and fuss about it. And then for the actual, you know, the dome itself, it does seem to go on only one way, but it actually clicks shut. It pops in there. And this looks really good. I'm very happy with the way this turned out. I think I'm more happy with it because of how easy it was. Like, it just worked. But it still worked really well. And then we've got his backpack here. And this, again, and we need to kind of talk about this. So this backpack is pegged into this adapter. This adapter pegs into the back. It's very shallow. And it comes right out. Again, I don't know if it's meant to do that or if it's supposed to do that, but it seemed like it was supposed to stay in there to me. So I may just end up gluing it. I probably will, just to be done with it. But watch out when you're pulling the backpack out of the adapter, and, you know, just make sure that the adapter doesn't go flying across the room or something like that. It's a fairly standard thing. This is Vorga's backpack, I believe. It's got the port on the bottom for like the ammo pack that comes out of her gun. So if you want to give him that kind of stuff, you've got that option. It does have ports for tubing, and this is the only thing in this figure that utilizes any of the little ports. He doesn't come with any projections or anything like that, or any mini blasters, but of course you can use stuff that you've got at this point. So you've got a tube that runs from the backpack to this gun, and this is probably like more of an industrial type of gun than like an actual, looks like a welding gun to me, like some sort of space welding gun, because he's not necessarily a fighter, he's a demolitionist and discoverer, I think is what was listed on the bio. So this is probably more of a tool than anything else. He does include one weapon though, if we want to consider this, you know, more of a tool. He includes this big old power hammer, which I really, really like. It's mostly just a flat gray, but there are varying hues of gray on this and a little bit of silver. It's big. I mean, it's got some heft and it's got some weight to it. It's not too heavy. It's not like Canox's mace in the second wave of Cosmic that was so heavy you could barely hold it. This thing's pretty evenly distributed. It does, however, pose some issues, as does this gun, when it comes to getting it in his hands. His hands are ultra tight, and I'm not talking about swapping the hands. I'm talking about actually getting stuff in the hands. You will likely need to heat them up just to pry the fingers apart enough to get something in there. I had zero luck forcing this into his hand. This stuff, you know, is a little modular as well, so you've got that going for you. Just watch out when you're trying to put those in so you can swap this around a little bit. But the figure in general does have, you know, a lot of stuff here. He's got some cool different accessories. Very happy that this just works. The backpack is, you know, giving me pause for a moment, but it's nothing really to be too concerned about. And then if you don't want to use them or you do want to use them, again, you do have the little doodads all over his belt, the grenades, the mines, all that kind of fun stuff. And we do all, of course, get two really, really good head sculpts out of this one. So yeah, overall, I'm really happy with this guy. Again, I do have some nitpicky things. Those cables like to pop out. I'm worried I'm going to lose the stuff on the belt because they're all separate pieces. And I do think the back adapter should be glued in. Again, I'm not 100% sure, but it feels like it. The backpack fits into the adapter really snug, but the adapter doesn't fit into the back very snug. And it's kind of heavy, so keep an eye out for it. Beyond that, though, I think we've got a great base body here going forward. I'm really excited to see more of these like power armor figures for sure. I think he looks really great with this particular color scheme. I like the dinginess of this orange and brown combo, and the green head sculpt just looks fantastic. He does still retain really solid articulation. It's nothing much more or different than anything you would expect to get from a cosmic figure, but I also think he moves better than you might expect for him being so bulky at the same time. So yeah, that's going to do it for this look at the Cosmic Legions OxKrewe Book 1 ORVAR. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.